Even though I said I wouldn't be probably working today because of, mom's birthday, have to go in the cemetery and all that. I decided I'm just gonna get home. I'll just do it anyway, just to get some things done. One, in terms of the pelvis, yes, the Lazy Susan Baron is set. The only issue is that these countersunk screws right here that I'm going to be using to attach the actual Lazy Susan bearing piece to the 300 part. I thought the thread was 20 millimeters. No, the actual screw itself, because that's where I didn't think about that. So the only issue is that the space between the bottom of this piece right here and where this servo holder is, because the heated inserts go into those big holes in the actual part that holds these servos in place, and then I screw them through the actual model itself. And you can see the screws right there. Whoops, that thing is the longest one I have, and it barely fits through, so I won't be able to grip the heated inserts in this part. So what I have to do is I have to 3D print this part again, but this time it doesn't have this bottom piece, because the idea was it fits into the bearing itself, and then the screws on the inner bearing piece will hold into it and make it double. That's not necessary. I don't need the centerpiece. As long as the screws are lined up and it's a flushed connection, it doesn't matter. So I removed that. I'm going to 3D print a 1 millimeter or 2 millimeter spacer, just so the bottom of this piece and the top of this don't scratch each other. So yeah, there's that. In terms of the neck, originally this part up here that connects to this aluminum extrusion piece, it wasn't slanted at an angle like it was. It was a flat cut, so when this comes in at an angle, but it hits something that's flat, so only this most edge is going to hit it, and then there's like a big gap where it will just be bending and flexing. So I had to reprint that, but I cut it properly, and I have these little extrusion anchors, that silver thing that screws into right there, and that is how that gets made. Now the neck is the same thing from what the Mimic up here will be using, so like whoa, 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 whoa. I have no idea how these bottom servos are going to handle moving the neck joint up here, because not only are there going to be two other servos just like this, there's also going to be steel rods that make sure this part will not flex and break. Because not only that, it has to hold that all this weight and up, because this is going to be the torso, and the arms are going to connect to it. Now, the arms are not going to be robotic. They're going to be puppets. So they're just going to be loose and slack, and I'm just going to have to control them manually. But the thing is, like, okay, well, can it move not only this torso piece, the servos on it, the steel beams, I'm going to try to print the torso itself as thin as possible. I have a ton of foam that I'm going to try to use in some areas, and just hope it's not too much weight. And then at the same time, the entirety of that big goofball right up there, way up there. I'll do a test tomorrow, because when I was doing measurements, I lost track of what length was what, and I got this length mixed with that length, so this threaded rod right here is too short. So yeah, I'll be able to test that. Yeah, that's how the Mimic's doing. I'm hoping to have him fully 3D printed in terms of like his torso at least. Definitely his torso and arms by Monday. That will be all 3D printed. Now, I'm going to paint it just roughly. I'm not going to try sanding it, and it'll look good enough. It's going to be in the dark anyway, so it'll look good enough. This is just for the anniversary. And, I can modify this design going forward to make it better, because right now, all I have to do is make sure this works good enough, and if I need to, I can manhandle it a little bit. It's like the videos only be like 2 minutes long, so, it can't be all perfect and on its own, so there's that. So to make it easier to connect the shell, also, this is the entire torso shell. This is one big piece, and this is another bottom piece. Now what I'm planning to do is have a beam come out here, and that's going to connect to the bottom shell, and that's just going to be the shell. It's going to be all empty. And, you know, so there can be room for the servos to fit through. And then this is just going to be, I'm going to print this as thin as possible. If not, I'll make it out of cardboard. In terms of how they make the arms pivot, I'll figure something out. Everything's going to be printed as thin as possible, so I don't have to worry about doing too many complicated things. Now, there is one thing I have been thinking about. So we all know the here's the model I've been using for reference. You know these piston things, right? In game, I'm assuming these are what make it move up and down. Yeah, that doesn't work. So what I'm thinking about doing is using the same mechanism for the fingers here, to where it's just a, so this is a, you know, a ball with a little countersink part built in. This would be attached to here in the base and up top, and you know, it'll be, and this will just be a hollow piston that, like, there's no string, there's no springs. They'll just be pieces, and like, so this will be all one piece, and it revolves around it, and that's another one piece. And like, they're like, each piece will be screwed individually or with string. There's no string connecting these two pieces, and they'll just slide over top each other for the torso and for the neck. I don't have the neck anymore, so for reference. Now, like, going back to the arm design, because this is the actual model. It took me forever to get this thing in here to make it look good. All this cable stuff, I got some spare cables. It's not going to look anywhere near as good. In terms of the arms, I'm probably going to do the same thing. I'm just going to have a big one of these attached here, very thin, very hollow, and it's just going to puppet. Now, how I'm probably going to do the arms is that where the pelvis, or not the pelvis, where the elbow is on the arm, it's probably going to, it's not going to be a straight arm. It's going to be like at an angle, and coming out of it will be one of these beams here. And it's going to have a 3D printed part where I can grab it, and I can, you know, individually pull each finger, or I'll probably have it so there's one part that is attached to all fingers, like it's like attached to all the rings. I can just pull that to make it close all at once, or I can choose each individual finger I want, and then have it so where I can pull it back so I can tilt the wrist, and I'll have it so that the whole thing, the whole wrist can rotate. I'm gonna try to make it a basic puppet as possible. The arm will take the longest to print, and I can always jerry rig it. You know, I want this to be done before the 8th so I can record it, edit the video, and have it out, because I want this thing to be a cool animatronic puppet for the 8th anniversary. But, you know, we are, hopefully by Monday everything will be 3D printed, and then I can do paint stuff, and, you know. So I got a few days. I have 6 days to do this, which, you know, it's possible. Just, you know, 3D printing stuff and trying to change and alternate it. Yeah, you can see right here where the little screws down there, these little things right there, will stick out through the bottom of the torso. I'm probably going to have pieces stick out from this spine to have, you know, these connections to, but, you know, we'll deal with that later when we get the chance. It's getting there. This is definitely going to be the first animatronic with a working torso, big time. And there's no legs. I don't care. He's going to be a tabletop. If you want, you can just 3D print legs. And like, oh, look, he's walking. And then he's done. Never using these pieces of plastic ever again. So, yeah, that is what's happening. I don't think there's anything else to go over. But, yeah. Oh, yeah, today was my mom's birthday. And I had to go to the cemetery and, you know, do all that, which is fun. One thing I don't like about the arm is that it pivots here. It doesn't pivot here. It pivots here. This whole thing just goes, it's like a giant lever. And I don't think it pivots anywhere on this. I don't know. This makes it looks cool, but this is probably the less likely to ever work robot they could have built, which is not fun or fair, because like, oh well, I gotta do all this extra work now. But yeah, worst case scenario, I'll only have his left arm done, and the right arm will just be a hand that's just gonna be like on a stick. It's like, hey, look, happy birthday, you know. Well, we will see. We will see. Because I'm making these parts as thin as possible. The parts that need to be 3D printed, because trying to cut them out to look good out of foam, which I don't have a lot of foam, so I need to make it last. So yeah. And I've been lining up parts and just kind of cutting them up. It ain't perfect. Like, let's see, like, Like, this is supposed to be more flat. This is more curved, but now whatever. It is good enough. It's good enough. Ooh, is that Boris's butthole? Yes, it is. I found these two at Walmart, and it's like, oh, yes, save them. Save the queen. Oh, yeah, this little guy's still dead over here. Okay. I think that's it. I need to go to bed. I'm tired. Oh, wait, hang on. Just give you an idea how big this thing is, and there's the Mimic. There's the Mimic head right there. And actually, it's a little taller than that. About that tall. Yeah, so, like, if I just do this real quick, if I don't... Yeah, that's pretty tall. I don't know if the servos are going to be strong enough for that, but we're going to find out. Oh, yeah. Oh, the... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no, something's about to fall. Ah! Well, that's all, folks. Oh, God, do I have to reprint so much shit now?